why don't we just start with a quick introduction so everyone knows who's up here talking. So for me, I'm Noah, I'm the host of this space, and I'm very happy to finally do some X-Livestreams again, especially with the video. This is my first one. I hope everyone can hear me, because I'm just watching it in my other stream, but not with sound. So if there's anything wrong with the stream, please let us know. And yeah, with that being said, I'm very happy to have Dan with us, co-founder of Flux, and Dr. Stuart Haber, who is the co-inventor of the blockchain and also CCO at Suremark Digital. So if you want to give a few words, both of you.
All right, I'll start. I'm Stuart Haber. As Noah introduced me, I'm a cryptographer by academic training and by profession since I left school some several decades ago. I've worked on a bunch of different cryptographic problems, from rather theoretical ones to pretty practical ones, but I'm probably best known for my work with Scott Stornetta trying to solve the problem. It's the title of our first paper, which was at the crypto conference, when crypto only meant cryptography, and the syllables cryptocurrency had never been pronounced on the planet, would not be pronounced on the planet for another 15, 17 years. That was the crypto conference of 1990, where we asked and answered the question, how to timestamp a digital document, how to make a digital record immutable, so that anybody can check that it hasn't been changed since it was created and registered with our system, in a way that did not require trusting a third party, or trusting a piece of software, or trusting a piece of hardware, or even we also tried our best to minimize trust in mathematical computational assumptions. That data structure that most people happening to tune in on this stream may think, if they have a mental image of how these things work, their mental image they think of as Satoshi's data structure is in fact the data structure of Scott Stornetta and myself. That is, hash-linked roots of Merkle trees, and similarly directed graphs, not necessarily just chains. That's our data structure. We had a company to try and commercialize this that was spun off from Bell Communications Research, Bellcore, the Bell Labs of the local phone companies in the U.S. when Ma Bell, the monopoly that ran the legendary Bell Labs, was broken up by an antitrust settlement. That company was not wildly successful, but its blockchain was running, beginning commercially in '95. In fact, as experimental code in 1991. That's a long time. Meanwhile, jump ahead some decades later, skipping, in fact, Satoshi for the moment, and Scott Stornetta and I have a new project called Suremark that we'll be talking about in the course of this interview. I'll let Noah lead the way later. But now, Dan, why don't you tell me and the audience about yourself and Flux?
Well, I got to tell you, I don't fanboy much in this space, but I put you right up there with Hal Finney, Satoshi Nakamoto, Zoku, and other folks who have led the way for all of us to champion into the next space. Without the work that you have done and those folks have done behind the scenes to build out blockchain the way it should be, we wouldn't have what we have now. So I'm super, super happy to be on a stream with you. I really am thankful for the work that you've done. A little bit about me. I'm Daniel
Please.
Keller. I'm kind of an OG in the space. I've been here for longer than I care to remember. In 2016, I had worked for a large healthcare organizations pretty much predominantly for my entire life in the C-suite, CIO, CTO levels. And I started to notice, been in blockchain for, very early on in Bitcoin. So I guess it would have been 2011, 2012. But fan of cryptology overall. So it was kind of neat to see the intersection of cryptology and monetary policy, and that's really what drove me with Bitcoin. But as I started to see Bitcoin start to grow and mature, something concerned me, and that was the fact that if we were really honestly going to have true decentralization, we needed to look at our data layers as well. So Flux was really born by necessity. We wanted to take the evil empires of the world, as I kindly refer to them, the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsoft Azures, and fragment the approach so that normal everyday people could run infrastructure and supply that back to the greater good. Couple big things there. Obviously, run till death on compute pieces was a big deal for us. We want to be environmentally savvy as well. We understood that proof of work was the best consensus model as we kind of grew up, and that's what we did. We have since went to proof of useful work, which essentially utilizes the compute resources that are on the networks to provide infrastructure from the people that have compute resources to the people that need compute resources. So, and we honestly echoed in our core foundation because we were cypherpunks at heart. That's really what it comes down to. We believe in the cypherpunk manifesto. We believe in privacy as a human right of dignity, and for us to be able to do that, people so easily gave up their data, and I'm not just talking their personal data, their business data as well, to large organizations who extrapolate that and monetize that. So Flux was really born for one sole purpose, and that was to kind of not necessarily supplant the evil empires, because let's face it, they're going to morph, they're going to continue to keep growing, they're going to iterate to make sure they stay ahead of the pace. Our goal was to provide a decentralized option to historically the blockchain space, but really anywhere in your standard tech stack, right? So whether you're in technology, or if you're in healthcare, or if you're in supply chain management, it all makes sense. You're providing that data to a centralized provider, and as we have seen over the past several months, AWS and Microsoft and so on have not been able to hold that load and hold that line. Which gives a perfect opportunity for players to come into the space who offer decentralized compute models. And we do this not only with front ends, back ends, game servers, you name it. We also launched a product, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which is our Flux AI component. And that is the first of its kind in decentralized AI. It runs completely on the blockchain. It's open source. We do not collect data. So your search histories, your input models, anything you do, we don't collect it. So we're not the evil empire getting rich off your data. We want that data to be in your hands. And we are one of the only products out there that offer on-premises, so on-prem, especially in healthcare. This is important for HIPAA and PHI and so on and so forth. We provide on-prem solutions that do not touch the internet. So we're kind of trying to fix this major issue we have, where if AWS goes down, the entire blockchain world goes down, and that's no good for us. So our mission is to really put the power back in the hands of the people. So that's a long intro, but you get it.
Well, it was an awesome intro, and I do have a question for you about your cloud storage solution. So currently a lot of friends came to me with all the different social media apps, and now all of those apps are requiring payment, right, to save the pictures and the videos. For example, I know a lot of people who have used Snapchat for the last 10 years, and all of those pictures and videos were saved since 2016 up until now. Now Snapchat is asking for $5 per month, right, to keep your pictures. And a lot of people are now thinking, should I just pay the site? How much do I trust it? Or should I put it all on a hard drive? Which would be best, because of course they want to keep their stuff for 10 more years, and they feel the safest if they have it like on a hard drive. But always the unplugging and plugging into the computer is also not the best option for everybody. So people are also looking at some cloud solutions. And I think the most important thing people are looking for is to keep their pictures safe for the next 10 years. Now, what would you respond to them? Or what would you say?
I would say this: $5, and you give up your privacy and confidentiality. I've never been a fan for any product that curates and stores your any type of data, whether it's photos or documents or whatever it is. I'm not a huge fan of it. So Flux created Flux Drive, which is essentially Flux IPFS, interplanetary file system, which shards that data across the network. I'm a believer, and I think we're at an important time now where people start to evaluate their situations and say, how do I set myself up for privacy for the next 10 years? Because privacy is right in our face right now. Look what's happening in the EU. If you're storing your data with those cloud providers, well, then they are the ones that are the curators of it. So if they don't like your politics or maybe what you post online, you lose access. And that's where products like, Flux Drive can come into play. You are the curator of your data, and you share what you want out of that library. And I think I take a step further, and I'll issue a challenge to anyone listening, and that is now, today, and into 2026, your job is to evaluate your exposure. What is the risk that I have, and what is my risk footprint? Whether it's my company or my personal data, how do I keep that private and in my hands rather than the evil empire's hands? Because they will continue to extrapolate not only your data, but your money out of your pocket, as we see. It's the bait and switch, keep everything here for free. Psych. Now it's $5, and then it's $10, and then it's now you're sending out terms of services where they can scan your photos. Facts. These aren't things that I'm making up. These are actually legitimate things. They will harness your data and utilize it to give things back to you. And I think privacy, the cypherpunk me of 15 years ago is mortified at where we are today. So instead of being mortified and sitting on the sidelines, we built something that will actually mitigate that.
So you've both mentioned 10 years. That sound, where's my data going to be in 10 years, or what's going to happen to it in 10 years? 10 years is thinking short term. When Scott and I first tried to tackle the problem of what we now call immutable records. We didn't use that term back then, but the making digital records immutable, we meant for the long term. And in 10 years, over the course of 10 years, cryptographic tools have to change. You need cryptographic and algorithmic agility in every part of the tech stack, because things change, and we designed the essence of the blockchain to enable that.
Yep, I think.
Can I just mention something there? Sure. Because I think what he just stated is really understated. And that is our vision. And most of the people that are in crypto or even cryptology at this point, they don't see where we were 15 years ago and where we are today. Stuart and I have seen the evolution of data storage, right? So I still have my floppy drives, I still have my zip disks, I still have my data tapes. We've seen that iteration, and we understand there needs to be a fundamental underpinning of that, almost a standard operating procedure. So how we move forward in the future, because what he stated about that being immutable, that's 110% on the money.
Yep. And I think we are still going to need a few more years for people to realize how important it is to change, to secure your data right now, right? Because I think Gen Z, that's why I mentioned 10 years, is still young, and that's why 10 years is like half a life for us. So
we don't hold it against you for being young, brother. we're old sages. That's all it is.
Well, and I think
And there's no there is an alternative to getting old, but
it's
given
called
the
being
alternative,
crypto.
I'll stick with what I'll stick with this present
Well,
situation.
crypto ages you as well, so give me a few years and I look a lot older. Well then, another question. So I have two older laptops here with me, and I know other friends of mine have too. And we are thinking of either selling them or use them somehow, right? And I know this could be in use for proof of useful work. So how easy is it actually for somebody with no clue of crypto or whatever to plug it into the Flux ecosystem?
That's a great question, and one that I get asked probably at least 5 times a day. Historically, you can automatically, if you have a graphics card in that, you can load that up, set it up for proof of useful work, and you can tap into that. The whole philosophy behind Flux really comes down to evergreen compute. We want to use it, run it till death. We shouldn't be coming out with graphics cards every 6 months that iterate and basically make the ones behind us obsolete, because as we found, there's strength in numbers. Just because you have a new card that's almost impossible to get unless you're an Elon Musk or somebody around the world, you need to be able to have access to volume. And that's exactly what we've done with Flux Edge and Flux AI. Is we have essentially created, instead of using one H200, you can use two H100s, or you can use, instead of an H100, maybe you can use a 3070 Ti, 10 of them. So essentially what we're trying to do is keep good compute in the system until it's not viable anymore. And honestly, you could take that computer, as long as you have a good graphics card and you can put it on the network, you can start earning money now. And that's really the glory of proof of useful work, is anyone can contribute.
Can you say something that'll satisfy my curiosity about, as an expert cryptographer, but also means something to the general listener, about what exactly is a proof of useful work? What is if I have delegated some computation to the Flux system, some of which is running on one of Noah's old laptops, what is the proof provided to me if I'm an especially skeptical observer of the system?
That's a great question. And one that I think that more people need to ask, to be honest with you. We look at data in several different facets. If you've ever worked with DLP, data loss prevention, lots of data in motion, data at rest, and long-term data storage. So what we did was ultimately put it in a situation where it's encrypted from end to end. So if you have an AI job and you want to do something like rendering, you can participate in that network, and it's encrypted from end to end. So as it leaves your hands, this is what I need done, to the person that's actually utilizing the GPU, and that can be anywhere. And we do geolocate them as well to make sure that if, from a regulatory standpoint, if you need it to be inside the US, it can be inside the US. If you want the EU, you can do the EU. We're in 78 countries approximately. And really what that does is it gives you true end-to-end encryption and allows you to solve these problems at scale. So we shard as it goes across. We have a fully encrypted operating system that runs in the background called Flux OS. And essentially, it's truly end-to-end encryption. So, and that we build it that way because we are cypherpunks at heart, and we know where it can be breached or approached. We needed to make sure we took care of that from the outset. So anyone can see that as they deploy applications. They'll know that it's encrypted. We really just looked at it holistically and said, how do we not just encrypt particular facets of the applications, but the entire application itself? So that's really kind of where we started, and I'd love to send documentation that you can get out.
Well, Dan, well, we were just talking about security and how to keep your data secure for the next 10 or let's say 50 years. How do you and the Flux team secure your digital identity? Would be the next question, because let me give you an example. Recently, when Cadena shut down, a lot of the community members, me myself too, thought it's a hack first, right, on the X account, and we were all hoping on another tweet that Cadena did not shut down and the price, so that the price goes up again, right? But this has also happened a lot of times in the past with big accounts, that the accounts got hacked. So in my head, I don't think blue check marks work anymore, because your own account can get hacked. You can have 10 different fake accounts also with a blue check mark. Currently, you get a lot of SMSs, messages in Discord, right, claiming to be someone. And now with AI, the whole deepfake scene is getting out of hand with the pictures. So I think there should be something more that could actually secure you. But before we get to that, let me know how you guys secure yourselves.
The one thing that I've learned in this space, and Stuart probably would agree with me on this to a certain extent, is we are always iterating. And what I think there's really two forms of adoption. I think there's attrition, which means over a period of time, things will be adopted that make sense to fix these things, or necessity. I think especially with ID verification in social platforms like that, I have been hacked. My account's been breached. Very sophisticated attacks, ones that, I see. There's probably an attempt on my account daily. But these were actually very well socially organized. They were definitely professionals at it. It wasn't somebody in India at a desk somewhere who's trying to scam you for an Apple Card. This was very, very targeted. And I think these platforms need to start stepping up with a way to verify that in privacy. I don't want to necessarily be verified in public. I want to be verified in private. I want to make sure that if somebody is getting me, they're getting the right me instead of a scam. So I don't know what that looks like. I think cryptology again is the answer. How that works, I have no idea. They don't let me code. But
why don't I let Noah describe my latest project with Scott Stornetta called Suremark, which addresses exactly this question.
Which I was all over too, by the way. That's going to be interesting.
So I will start sharing my screen. Suremark Digital basically gives you a secure digital identity, because it doesn't matter on what platform you are or what you upload, you can sign your own content cryptographically. And this also doesn't only work with any content, right? This can also be used for phone calls or meetings like we are in now. To give you a little context, I posted a post yesterday, and I believe it was a 300 million deepfake scam, which was either in China or in Japan. I'm not exactly sure anymore. but some CEOs and executives got scammed through deepfake videos. And the problem that is coming up is it's not only targeting individuals who think, okay, it's my favorite trader actually DMing me, but it is getting more to the family members and executives, which is very dangerous. And Suremark has a little feature which lets me sign a message if I get challenged, for example, by Stuart, so he can be sure it is really me talking and it is not some AI deepfake video. So if you want, Stuart,
Sure.
feel free to challenge me. So first up, all you need is your Suremark extension, so you can either have it on your phone or on your computer. So the next part where I challenge Stuart and he verifies is unfortunately not available, but I will show you how to challenge someone and verify it. And the good thing is you will see both things directly, because I'm going to challenge myself and also verify it. And all you need for that is your browser extension, and if you click on it you can challenge an identity. And in this case I will challenge myself to see if I am not actually an AI. So just search for my name. Down here you can also see the Suremark credential, which you can check in the Suremark directory. But all I have to do is click on send, and yes, I want to challenge this person. Now I forgot I am still offline, so the challenged person has to actually be online, and I'm already connected, so I will just have to connect here. And now if I want to send myself a challenge or somebody else, all I have to do is click on resend. Now we can see it is pending and those 4 challenged words. Now for me, if I want to verify it, I can see an incoming challenge. I can also check those words and make sure they are the same. To sign this message, all I have to do is click on it and enter my password. So now that I have entered my password, I can sign it, and this way you can see that this challenge response was sent successfully. It is not in my incoming challenges anymore, and if I get back on my home screen where I invited myself, you can see it is also verified. So this just proved that I challenged someone, and I myself with my private key have signed this challenge, and now both ways are sure that it is an authentic call. And this both ways around. You can also do that for any meeting, any Zoom call, any live stream, whatever. This just helps everyone, whether it be a CEO or a grandmother, be sure to be actually speaking with the right person anywhere. Yeah, so let me get back and also show you how it generally looks on all the other platforms. For example, on my X page, I have my pinned post, and at the top you can see that the Suremark extension is still black, but once I click on it, it is going to run through the system and you can see it turning green. And this just means that this post has been signed, right? In this case, I also added a comment, which I had a great time beating the French, which was amazing. But now you can see that somebody with my credential has signed it. And what's good there is, for example, if it's just your post, or if you're being misrepresented in an article or in some other post, or you were in a YouTube video and you want to clarify something, right? You could use their credential to sign it and comment something, comment your thoughts, which would help you against impersonation. What's good when you do some live streams or videos, which we are going to do after the stream ends, is going to cross-sign this whole live stream. For example, I think 8 months back, I had an interview with Stuart and Scott Donetta, and you can see it is signed, and all of those 3, we all left a comment. So what this does is, if you have multiple live streams and constantly co-sign the other streams, you build kind of like a web of trust. So if anyone else has a different account or a deepfake video or just hacks your account, it won't be verified or signed by you. So let's say you are hacked, or let's assume the Cadena account got hacked. Cadena would have been able to sign the post and say, okay, we got hacked, this is not from us. But this basically leaves just a little room of impersonation, because everyone can verify it in 2 seconds at the top, right? So this is really good for any social media accounts, but as mentioned, where the real power lies behind it is if you cross-sign different streams, because that way I have my credibility from Scott and Stuart that I was there in the stream, and the other way around too, right? So even if somebody were to make a Suremark credential with my name, I would already have the web of trust from all of the other people who were there, so they know this credential actually belongs to me and not to someone else. And I think this beats every blue check mark on every website, every secure password that you have with your friends, or even inside the team, because 1 second click, a 2 second verification, or a signature is all you need to be safe, pretty much.
I'll be honest with you. I think an application like this at scale would probably fix a good at least 60-70% of the issues we're having, especially with account impersonations and hacks, almost overnight, if it was adopted at scale. I mean, this totally makes sense. And honestly, what we did with Flux Mayhem, which is our AI detection tool, was somewhat similar. So we want to make sure that the graphics that you're seeing are actually legitimately generated in real life and not AI. And one of the things we found as we were kind of building that out is each video, that video that's playing right now, has hallmarks in it of it truly being reality. I'll give you a perfect example. Is I used to work in printing, and printing, if you take 2 baseball cards and you hold them up next to each other, they look identical, but they each have a physical fingerprint because they're actually been created by hand. So it actually, no 2 baseball cards, even if they look exactly the same, are exact, because you actually use small dots to create those color builds. None of those dots within that are unique, because you're using a printing press which relies on emulsification. It's a host of stuff that plays into this. So you can truly see that is a unique and real, and videos the exact same way. They're hallmarks that can't be replicated in AI. So our focus, and what Stuart's clearly focusing on as well, is verification of that information. So we looked at the same thing with Project Mayhem, which is our AI detection tool. And browser extension, plugin, easy, simple to use, and verifies almost instantaneously whether you're looking at AI or whether you're looking at an actual video that Noah did, and here it is. So, I think those steps, and almost you could form both those things together, what Stuart's working on, what we're working on, and they can be a tandem piece that really addresses this AI issue. Because there has to be a yin to the yang. At this particular point in time, they're making better and better and better and better AI, but they're not making any better and better and better detection tools, right? So we are going to get to a point where you cannot discern what is generated from AI and what is generated in real life unless you have an application like this installed on your device, scanning the videos as they come in and as you see them to say, green check, you're good, this is real content, X, this is 50% AI. So there may be some real variable pieces in there, but as we've seen, as they start to create these deepfakes, they're actually using real footage or real input models, and then they're altering the outcomes, right? So, you see this with Trump, where he's on X all the time, where they have him saying crazy stuff, which he's already kind of saying crazy stuff, but it's even crazier than what he is. And ultimately what that does is it allows you to get a percentage base. And it says, hey, there are parts of this video that's real. That's 50%. But there's 50% of this that's bullshit. So just so you're aware, And I think really us as consumers will have to get comfortable with that process. We're going to have to understand not to trust our eyes and our ears, but to actually trust. I hate, you hate to say it, but that's what it is. Actually trust the the platforms that are enabled to say whether or not these things are legit or fake. And that needs to be done. Go ahead, Stuart.
And then, is there some deep fake in here? Now, even in the most, an ordinary photo that you take on your cell phone and broadcast out, there's been some software. That's what you send out is typically not the raw image, but there's been you've done you've clipped out the face, the two faces you see in an image, and not the whole raw image of a room. That's been processed already. We're just letting users authorize, comment on content that's out there wherever it came from, and you're checking the bit string of the content itself. That's what the signatures apply to.
I think we're in agreement. Maybe I didn't articulate that as
but
well.
No. But our various tools, our various tools can certainly work together.
Because, and Stuart, this is one thing that I see as a challenge is this particular program that you're working on right now. That's a no-brainer. But we have individuals who will not take that extra step to actually sign up and build out on this platform unless the necessity is so great that there is no other choice. Right? So attrition or necessity. I think it's definitely necessity at this point. So I think our philosophy was to kind of grab it all instead of individual pieces, because Dan, I get 500 emails a day. I probably get 20,000, messages over social platforms. It's insane. I can't respond to all those, and I wouldn't even attempt to. But if I post something, it should be validated, and I think that's what this does. Is it helps to validate that. But then I think there's an additional step to that. So that validates the content creator. If I'm cruising through Instagram, for instance, Reels, 60% of what you see on Reels now is fake.
Yep.
It's AI. My wife sent me something this morning. I'm like, yeah, this is AI, honey. Whatever it was kind of crazy, and I was like, yeah, total AI. And I think there needs to be almost a two-pronged approach. So the creators of content, and maybe me as the consumer, puts more value in what Stuart does because he's authorizing his from the outset, makes it, and it gives me the truth version, and you become less receptive to what you're seeing on social media and Reels and other places, because you've already known, if I know Stuart posted it and he signed it, then it's legit. So maybe folks like Dan and like Stuart and like other individuals that are doing that, it creates that truth metric. And I think that's important. But I think you need to take it a step further, and you need to protect those individuals who won't take that first step. And I think that's where something like Mayhem comes in, because it looks at every video as you scroll. In the background, it's basically running on Flux Edge that, it analyzes, it says, yeah, this is, 60% AI, or no, this is 100% legit. Is that a silver bullet? Hell no. We need what Stuart's doing to really get to the Holy Land. But I think it does offer a solution for folks who will not take that extra step.
Right. More is the more.
Yeah, I think it's good that senior leaders in technology, especially cryptography and blockchain, I think that we're addressing that. I've heard this more over the past 2 months than I think I've ever heard, and I think it's predominantly linked to what's happening in the EU. And I think people are scared, and I think they're realizing that it's not only a control. Let's face it. Why are the evil empires in AI? Input versus output. If you control the input models, you control the output models, and that's why they're involved in it. So I think, senior leaders within cryptography and even business, I'm saying if you're in a C-suite right now as a CIO or CTO and you aren't thinking about these things, you are costing your companies money. Because I've personally seen hundreds of thousands of dollars compromised on exactly what could have been stopped with what Stuart was creating. So, it is a real world problem, and it is exponentially massive. And if you don't believe me, look what's happening in Minnesota. If there was a way to prove that these particular transactions, that these particular items, these particular entities were actually who they were and signing these documentations, you'd have no illicit, loss of funds, at least in my opinion.
So we both have a ways to go before everybody is using our tools.
But isn't that the way it always is, Stuart? I mean, especially you've been in this game long enough to really have experienced it, that it's almost like you're building perpetually for the moment that it clicks that everybody needs it. Right. For us, it's been 9 years that we've been working on this, historically flying under the radar because we like it that way. We're not about the glitz and glam. We're not about the acronyms of the space, NFTs, Web3, DeepIn, whatever. We are building a product. DeepIn probably describes us best, but we had seen 8 or 9 years of just kind of stagnant growth. Not stagnant in the sense of development, but stagnant in terms of adoption. That changed 6 months ago. When AWS was down for 3 days and then went down again for another 2, and we had major clients that we had worked with in the past who were on that threshold where they were thinking load balance between the Web 2 world and the Web 3 world. How do we get there? And now all of a sudden, like that, it's been a push, and people that we've worked with for years are all of a sudden starting to ink contracts to deploy on the platform because there is no other way at this point. And we need to address these issues moving forward because they're not going to fix themselves. We're going to have to fix it for them. And I think especially with what Stuart's doing, there had predominantly not been a massive need for this 7, 8, 9 years ago. Today, that changed, right? Just like that. So I think we're at a really, really good point, and I think there are good people in this space that are really targeting these things that are going to create real long-term challenges. And like Stuart was saying, 10 years doesn't seem like a lot to us, right? In the grand scheme of things, to you guys, it's 10 years is half your life you've been here. You're like 20 couple years old. You only know what you've got in those 10 years, and you probably wouldn't go back 5. You'd go back, maybe 5 years and say, that's really where I started to put this together. So I think we're in a super early adoption cycle in terms of technologies like these. We're originators, not late or early adopters even. We're way, way before that.
Yes, you're right. And everything is moving faster, because everyone is currently using AI and creating the pictures and the videos, and they see it evolving really fast, especially on those social media platforms. But they are still a little bit behind on their own security, right? Especially what can happen with those kinds of tools. I'm researching every day those incidents where people get deepfaked, right? This in Japan. A lot of crypto hacks, or let's say not crypto hacks, but I've seen deepfakes of crypto holders, and they got deepfaked on a phone call that they were held hostage and to give them their keys. But in the end, it wasn't him, but those things are really, really popping up. And if he would have signed the message, then at least they could be sure he was really getting robbed, right?
Yes, 100%. Yep. I had a company that I worked for. They lost almost $250,000 over one phone call.
Yep. And
and that can't happen.
Yes.
That just can't happen. Not in today's age where the technology exists. And I would even go as far as to say what you see AI doing today is only a microcosm it is a glorified chatbot at best with a combination of search engine, right? But as AI continues to evolve and grow, these fundamental underpinnings that we're talking about right now are what's going to save our ass. Is
Yeah.
really what it's going to come down to.
I think so too, and especially due to how this is all structured, right? Even if it's Flux and the decentralized cloud mechanisms, or Suremark right now, if you just sign 10 streams that you participate in, you already have the credibility of 10
Yes.
different people, and in a few months it can give you such credibility that nobody really has to be afraid of any fake account of you. And even with the phone calls, I don't know how it is in the US, but here, I mean, especially here where I live, there's so many spam calls on our phones and the
Same.
SMS, and the region here is really bad. So
It's both. I haven't set foot in Pennsylvania recently, but if it's anything like New York, getting ridiculous spam calls all the time.
Yeah, now we're getting these text messages where they're trying to, like, I had somebody text me and says, "Hey, do you want to spend Christmas together?" I'm like, "Who in the hell is this?" You know what I mean? They're getting more creative and more sophisticated. And really, honestly, if we don't get pieces like this in place now, wait till AI starts to create scams themselves.
Yes.
Right? So input models that they're providing, and they're building an entire ecosystem around scamming individuals. If we don't fight this, and by the way, AI has really one focus right now, and that is growth at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
We want to, and most of that is because of a revenue issue. They can't make money, and they're just firing as much money at it as humanly possible to see if they can get over that hump where they're going to start making money from it, and they will. But the problem is if you create the yin without the yang, which almost every single technology does. It's, learn quick, break it, do it again. But when you're dealing with something like AI, you have to have that yang. You really do, or you're going to be in trouble long term.
100%. And I think it really is the time now to really think about it, because 2 years are going to be a lot for the whole AI space and for that kind of technology. Just to touch on it again, I would say 3 times a week I hear from people texting in support from exchanges who lost their funds because they sent it to a scammer. And to be honest, it happened to me once years back. But from then on, I always looked at the username, right? But a lot of people already miss this. So the username is completely something different, but they see the blue check mark and they directly send the money. And I see so many people sending thousands and thousands of dollars or euros to those people, and also getting in debt for that. And this really made me think about my general identity on how to keep it safe. And that's why I also think Suremark has done a really great job with the project. And I've already signed a few things. If you want, I can share my screen again and just show you how I am going to sign something. And as mentioned, after the stream, I will also send you an invitation so you can sign this space. Now I will have to show you how to actually sign any content of yours, whether it be an X post, an Instagram post, a PDF, a YouTube video, or a podcast on any platform. And for this, all I need to do is log into my content site from Suremark Digital. And when I'm logged in, you can see that I can add content on the top right. You can also see the content that I've already uploaded and also signed. In my case, I'm gonna go to add content and onto URL. Of course, you can also directly upload a PDF, an MP4, or whatever. Use the URL for different links, or if you make more posts throughout the day, you can also use this feature to upload multiple links directly. In my case, I want to sign this thread I made a few days ago. So I'm just gonna copy that and go to add content, type in my URL, submit it, and in a few seconds it should be submitted and it should now be here on the top. So to double check, I can click on open content and see, okay, it is actually this post that I made. So now I can go back and I can sign it. Now I can add a comment. I am not going to do it for this one, but you can always add a comment, and this can be very helpful, as already mentioned in this video. So this does not only mean that this post was made by me, but if I am being misrepresented here, or anyone else I mention in this post, they can simply also sign this and add their own opinion to that. So now let me check. If I go back onto my content, I can see that it is actually signed. So let's see if I need to reload this page. And after reloading, it is still black. If I click on it, it does not show any verification. So let's just double check this, open this content, and now, okay, now it is updated. It is now green, which means it has been signed. Now you can also check it has been signed by me. You can verify this through this credential, and I have signed this on my post, so everyone knows this was actually me and not a bot signing this. As mentioned, you can do that with any other content out there. Works really great for interviews because you can build your own web of trust with those co-signatures, and that should be it for signing. This is basically it. It's really easy to use, and I'm waiting on a few updates, especially for the challenge, because we want our grandmothers and grandfathers, to use it with a one click and not have to sign too much. But this is also going to be really useful just for calls. If you just get a call asking about money, all you have to do is say, please sign the challenge I just sent you, and you are good to go.
This is amazing.
Yep, and especially because it works across all platforms, live calls, whatever. It just proves your digital identity, and as mentioned, after we finish our call and we all sign it, I already have the credibility of you and Stuart, who's been there. And if you continue to sign other things, nobody can impersonate you. Doesn't matter how good the AI deepfakes are going to get.
So I look forward to signing this, co-signing this video after we finish.
Yes, me too. I'll send both of you the links. Now, Stuart, could you tell me, because I'm not quite sure, when Dan gets his invitation, he's able to sign a few more posts, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so you can try that out and sign whatever you want, but I'll send you the link later. Now we are getting pretty close to the end. It's been 1 hour. I do have one more question for both of you, which Dan has also reposted. And I've thought about it, and I also really want to know from Stuart if he's ever thought about it. So, what are the similarities of the Bible and the blockchain? It was a post that I thought about a few days ago, and as mentioned, I really would like to know from Stuart, when you created the first blockchain, did you ever think of the Bible as the pre-blockchain?
That's a long conversation. I could no, but I can say nasty things about silly analogies, or analogies that I wouldn't appreciate between, wouldn't take seriously. But I'm going to I think it's better to avoid that. The blockchain is a technical tool. I think a very important one. Took a while to get. It has taken a while to get adopted. Taking the long view, we had the experimental code running in '91, and most people never heard of it until Bitcoin took off, and there was money there. Yeah.
And then what about you?
Well, you already know where I'm at with this, right? So I'm a true believer in the Holy Spirit. So like I look at the Bible and the fact that, yes, these were processed with human hands. These words were written by human hands, right? But if you go back to the Ethiopian Bible, which is the oldest known Bible, and you compare it to the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's spot on. And to me, that's immutability. Now, could it be changed? Yes, you can take excerpts out. The Catholic took particular books of the Bible out, and of course, when the Protestant Reformation came, they removed a bunch of books from the Bible as well. It didn't mean they disappeared. It means the final product that they created lacked that information. So just in your graphic you're showing there, to me, that's amazing. Is it blockchain? No, it's not blockchain, but I do believe these are the early precursors, and we're talking 2,000 years ago. This was started to be laid out, and finding documents in 1964 that verified that the very first Bible that was ever created and is in storage transcended over multiple contents, multiple individuals, multiple councils of Nicene, so on and so forth. And then your final outcome was a Bible that stands today as it was when it was written. So ultimately, my philosophy, what's drawn me to blockchain, was that immutability. So I learned about immutability in faith as I grew. So whether my mom talked to me about faith, or I went to church, or whatever the scenario was, I knew that a word is sacred, and it needs to be the way that it is today, and 100 years from now, or 2,000 years from now. So I do think there are some, I wouldn't say from the underlying piece of it, there is a direct correlation or anything like that. But I do think it does lay the foundational groundwork for us to understand the process of immutability. There are variables within the Bible. The blockchain takes it a step further. Matter of fact, I'd like to see the Bible in the blockchain. That would be amazing, right? So then we know whatever we have today, and 250 years from now is exactly the way that it was today, which is exactly the way that it was 2,000 years ago. So I think it's, again, as technology continues to grow, I don't think it supplants what we've done in the past. I think it augments it and creates an opportunity to make it even better yet. So very, very cool question. Kind of out of the usual, and a fun one to answer.
Yeah, and I also don't have anything else to add to that. It was beautifully said. And again, I thank you very much for your time today.
Oh, I got one thing, Stuart. When am I going to get access to this? Because I want this like now.
So Noah, in fact, is going to invite you to co-sign, and that by accepting his invitation, you'll get started. And we can talk later about your greater use of the tool to protect, for example, all of Flux's employees from being scammed.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I actually see a point where, if, given the right set of circumstances as you develop that side out, where there could be an integration with what we're doing with Mayhem and what you're doing with this.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and really that's where there's not competition in this space. It's opportunity, you know? Yep.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, that was what I was thinking too, right? You can have AI detectors and all of that, but even if it's AI and it proves that it comes from you or from someone specifically, and this already also renders down any points of attack.
Right.
Awesome.
Okay, so this has been a great pleasure. Noah, we talked a bunch of times. Dan, it was a great pleasure to meet you. And,
It was awesome meeting you. I can check that one off my bucket list now.
We'll keep the conversation going.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for coming on. Wish everyone happy New Year. And
Happy New Year to one and all. Every single one of Noah's listeners, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. And I hope we can do this again in 2026 and see how Flux is going and how our secure identities are going. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you in 2026, I would say.
Okay.
See you guys.